Morning and welcome to Morning Coffee. We are so happy to be here with you on this beautiful December morning. As our guests come into the space with us, we'd like to welcome you to this week's show, which is a very special show today featuring some very special guests. We'll introduce them in a moment, but as you enter, we'd like to say good morning to our Facebook Live audience, to our audiences here in Zoom, and welcome you to this week's morning coffee call. Good morning, Shalisha. Good morning. Who else is with us? Good morning, Miss Daphne. Good morning, Becca. Good morning, Therese. As you join us this morning, we are happy to have you here for a very special and what we hope you find joyful morning coffee on this Wednesday, December 16th. Who can believe that it's Wednesday, December 16th? And almost the end of the year and our last morning coffee broadcast of 2020 and what has been a very interesting year. But nonetheless, we are here today on behalf of the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness to welcome you on behalf of our team and our special guests on a special pre-holiday episode on music and joy as we're joined by our guests from the WE Project, the Wisconsin Ensemble Project, who will be hosting a very special holiday benefit concert for us later this month. And we're here to talk about it with them today. But before we do that, just your reminder that Morning Coffee has been our space in 2020 to come together as a community as we all forge through what has been a very trying and challenging year of change. This is our space where we empower a generation of well Black women and talk about those topics that inspire our well-being, mind, body, spirit, financial, and other issues that concern us, our families, and our communities. We're here today again with 4 special guests from the WE Project, the Wisconsin Ensemble Project, Mary Theodore, Carl Levine, Leanne League, and Christopher Dozorst, who could not be with us today, but I'm sure his colleagues will represent him well. We're also here with the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness team, our co-host, Aaliyah Stevenson, Mary Wells, Aaron Bailey, April Kagea, and others who are in the background managing today's show. We are always grateful for you all who show up with us each week, for those who've showed up throughout the year and walked this journey with us as we created this space to really forge community at a time when we've all needed it most. Today's show will highlight the concert that the WE Ensemble will host for the Foundation later this month in support of our work, but it's also about joy and how we've held on to joy this year and as we approach the holidays. In spite of all the things we've faced, in spite of a global pandemic, we're still here this morning to see the light of day, and we're celebrating that today together as we talk about the concert and about some amazing Black women classical music artists whose work will be featured in the concert. So as we move along, as usual, Aaliyah, if you can give us some special updates, some important information before we dig into our questions.
Absolutely. It is the giving season. So please consider supporting local Black-owned businesses. I'm making my run today to the foundation to pick up 4 t-shirts that I'll be sending to California to my sister and my nieces. I'll be running by Madre Yerbas to pick up the beautiful earrings that you guys always see me representing on Morning Coffee as well. So please consider. I already went to buy errands to pick up my blankets and baby wear for gifts. So please consider supporting Black-owned businesses. I will be putting the foundation's shop in the chat. That's www.ffbww.org/shop. I'll be popping that in there. And so please consider doing that. And of course, we are going to be talking quite a bit today about a very exciting project in collaboration with the WE Project or the Wisconsin Ensemble Project. You can learn more information about that at a website, as well as sign up or donate to the cause and show up at the concert. And we'll be talking about that in great detail today, but I will be also popping that link for you to learn more about the composers that we'll be highlighting today as well. So I'll put that in there as well. Thanks.
Yes, yes. And we're so excited to see Shalisa say that there's lots of people on your watch party on Facebook. So please, if you have a moment, if you're on Facebook, just share, create that watch party, get folks involved. The more folks who know about our work and this wonderful benefit concert coming up, the merrier. And we will be sharing this information out widely beyond today's broadcast, which is always available post-production on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Black Women's Wellness Day. I also forgot to mention Kalia Monger of our team is on. I named everyone except her until her beautiful screen popped up and reminded me that she was in the office working this morning. Welcome, Kalia. So today, again, we're talking about the Wisconsin Ensemble Project, the wonderful members and artists who have created this organization, members of the Madison Symphony Orchestra. For most of the year, we all know that the work of artists and musicians have been heavily impacted by COVID-19 this year. And it's just remarkable that the four of our guests here today have taken the time in the midst of so many challenges to think about ways to give back and to connect with community and to reach out to the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness to think about supporting our work through a very creative and original concert that we're co-planning together later this month. And we're here to talk about that today. So let me introduce the members who are with us today. We have with us Mary Theodore, a Madison resident, originally from New York State. In her desire to explore the Pacific Northwest, she took her studies to the University of Washington in Seattle. There, she earned her Doctor of Musical Arts degree in violin with teacher Ronald Patterson, as well as her master's and bachelor's degrees in violin and graduate theory certificate. Mary has an illustrious track record of training, and it's so special to me. Mary, my daughter, plays violin. She was introduced to it in elementary school, and she has aspirations to do many of the things that you're doing and have already done in your training. Mary loves chamber music and spent 4 years as founder and artistic director of Sound Ensemble Wisconsin, and is thrilled to now be working with Wisconsin Ensemble Project. Competing with her musical passion, however, are her two beautiful children, who are also her best teachers. She spends as much time as she can with her kids and husband together as they enjoy the many, many things that Madison offers. We also have Carl Levine, who is principal cellist for the Madison Symphony Orchestra and the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra. And I believe, Mary, you also play with both the Madison Symphony and the Chamber Orchestra. As a member of the Madison Symphony Orchestra's Heartstrings Quartet program, Carl performs in many special needs communities throughout the Madison area. Carl appears regularly at John and Rosemary Harbison's Token Creek Festival in Wisconsin. I've heard wonderful things about that festival. I've never been. Now, after COVID, maybe I'll make my way. He has held faculty positions at Luther College, Illinois Wesleyan University, and UW-Whitewater. As a past member of the Milwaukee-based contemporary music ensemble Present Music, Carl has recorded compositions with the quartet, which resulted from performances of works of American composer Ben Johnston, and many other illustrious accomplishments and achievements in the music world. And we also have Leanne League, who teaches violin and viola at UW-Whitewater, and is the assistant concert master of the Madison Symphony and Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra. Wow, that's very, very powerful. As a chamber musician, Leanne performs with the UW-Whitewater Piano Trio and has played with many groups, including the Illinois Chamber Music Festival, the Token Creek Festival, Just Bach, the Ancora String Quartet, and the Bach Dancing and Dynamite Society. Other projects include a performance of the Beethoven Violin Concerto in March 2020 and a presentation on violin pedagogy at the National American String Teachers Convention coming up in spring 2021. So we have some very committed, experienced, devoted artists with us today on our call who are part of, one of Madison's treasures, our symphony orchestra and our chamber Orchestra. I've never been able, you all, to attend a live performance, but I've certainly seen you all televised and on public television and admire your incredible, beautiful work. So we're very happy to have each of you here today. Let's take a moment to just allow you to give 30 seconds of your own introduction before we dive into the questions. Mary.
Sure. Hi, thank you so much for having us. And just want to say it's been great to work with you guys over the last weeks to get all of this together. And what a great way to end a very challenging year. So yeah, I'm originally from New York State, as you said, and happily living in Madison. And I guess, it was a difficult year for artists, as you mentioned. And so the four of us in our quartet just got together for fun over the summer, playing outside in my front yard, just to have a chance to play together and play for neighbors and people walking by. And that sort of eventually turned into what we're doing now. We decided to try to delve more deeply into the repertoire and also address a lot of the social justice issues that are um, plaguing us right now. So that sort of became We Project.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. It was so exciting to get your email a few weeks ago when you reached out to Aaliyah and myself, and we've been happy to be able to work very quickly to pull this together, and so appreciative. Carl.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. As Mary said, we're all musicians here in town, and things for us have been basically just come to a grinding halt. So we've been trying to find ways to be active and to keep ourselves in shape, I guess. So we try to find ways to play chamber music, which is a passion of all of ours, for sure. I'm from Madison. I grew up here, went to school here, did my bachelor's here. I left for about 12, 13 years to do various things and did some really fun things. I traveled Europe for 4 years doing West Side Story, and got into some really wild performing environments, and ended up back here and became principal of the symphony and the chamber orchestra, and started a studio here in town. I've been working with a lot of kids and work with the youth orchestra here in Madison as well, which has been a real passion for me too. It's been a really great time to be able to do that. And one of the things that I've just sort of been dealing with now is, as all of us are in our teaching, is how do we work with kids? How do we communicate? How do we teach? I mean, it's basically been on Zoom now. Some of us can do things at home I've got a screen set up in my house where we can do that, but it's really tough. And the kids are having a hard time. I mean, it's really hard on them too. They want to be back in school. They want to be back playing with their friends and in chamber groups and things and orchestra. And so that's been a real challenge. And I think, as Mary mentioned, we just got together to play out of starvation. And it turned out Mary had this brilliant idea of trying to figure out ways we could use our experience and our talents and just connect with people that we probably wouldn't connect with in any other normal kind of a time. And I think there's a real potential here for getting involved and getting other people involved in social issues, economic issues, racial issues. It's a really important thing, and I think something that I really look forward to being a part of now for the long term. So happy to be here.
Awesome. We are so happy to have you here. You've said so many important things, and I think I mentioned that to Mary in one of our meetings, that this coming together as friends, as community members, as neighbors, as allies, and as partners to support causes that really matter to our community is a part of this project that we are really, really proud of as well. And we want it to be more common for us to be crossing, invisible lines and being a part of each other's social circles beyond this. So I think the beautiful silver lining in this is that we've been brought together, and look what we've been introduced to with each other this year, despite the challenges. I think it's going to be a beautiful thing. going forward. We're so happy to see more folks joining us. I'm laughing at the chat as folks are saying, I played piano, played violin, I played cello. And just hearing what you and both Mary said, you just played to survive, holding on to your joy and your passion this year through your art, and having to do it by any means necessary is just one of those examples of how we create our joy, right, in the midst of struggle, and continue to triumph, in this case, with the beauty of music that brings everybody together. So with that, Leanne, tell us a bit about you.
Sure. So I came to this area as a graduate student. So I actually think of myself as having grown up in Florida, actually. But I came up here to go to grad school, and actually that's where I met Carl, because we were in grad school at the same time. Um, yeah, and I love living here. I couldn't say better than what you just said, that I feel that the silver lining of this difficult year is the erasure of the invisible lines.
Yes.
And I do feel like there have been a lot of those, and it's really neat. I mean, just on a completely personal level, another benefit besides the real joy of being able to work on this project and connect in our community is I do think of myself as having grown up in Florida. So my family never sees me play. I've had a career of giving concerts for decades, and I think my mom has maybe seen 3 of my concerts as an adult, but now she's seen several, because with this Zoom format and everything being recorded, things are streaming, and all of a sudden, in so many ways, I feel that it's a little bit like, how often failure can produce a success, or in this case, a real, that grinding to a halt, that hopefully just temporary, but just closure of a certain format has led to many other possibilities. And I'm really grateful for that, because I think it will expand the connections that we make in the future. And I really am also very grateful, because I think it was Mary's just a great idea to try to do good. And it just feels great to have a project that is sort of very whole, and it involves the heart and the mind and the musical thinking, and it's nice to be part of it.
Awesome, indeed. Yes. So I'm a Madison transplant as well. So it sounds so wonderful to hear about folks who've come here and fallen in love with the city and made a life in this beautiful place, which is all about different people coming together, right? Madison is this mixing bowl in a big way of so many diverse people pulling together to cross those invisible lines and build a city and a community together. So I think that just symbolizes something wonderful, as well as the natives like Carl. And Carl, you'll notice in the chat some playful bantering about what high school you attended. Did it happen to be West High? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We have a little clan of folks on here who are all West High graduates, and they remind us every day that West High is great.
Yeah, I
So yay
graduated
for the West
1980.
High. As you see Shalisha and others in the corner doing what they do. It's also very interesting to see in the chat that Miss Mona Adams Winston, who now lives in Mississippi, but who's a Madisonian, says, I was on the Madison Symphony Orchestra Board of Directors for many years. My Santa hat is my mom's. She wore it each year to the holiday MSO performance. It's a great memory for me. Wave, Miss Mona, so that the Madison State can see you. Yes. And we miss you a lot, Ms. Mona. We miss you so much. And Super Graham, our heart goes out to you, as we know, we know. It's one of your first Christmases without Supergram. So our heart is with you. All right, so diving into these questions, because we have quite a few and we want to encourage our audience to ask questions. If you have questions about the orchestra, questions about instruments, about the artists, plug those in. Also tell us, what are you doing to hold on to joy? What's your passion? What has been your thing to get you through this year as we've all navigated a global pandemic and its local impacts on all of our lives in so many ways? What has been your joy factor? So first of all, tell us about the Wisconsin Ensemble project. How did your quartet come to be? And what do you hope to accomplish through your music and your giving? And we'll start with you, Mary. And I know that was 3 questions in one, but
It's
yeah.
all related. Yeah, so I think again, just the gathering casually over the summer because we all really needed to play. And it was wonderful just to get together on a really informal basis. I think maybe the first time I really played for people without rehearsing. So we just sight read quartets and whatever happened, happened, which was fun. But also, we really felt that, and I really felt that I wanted to do more and have a chance to really, delve into the music more and polish it. So it was, wanting to play, but again, really wanting, I mean, I believe in art for art's sake, but I also think that we can try to do more and get even more meeting out of that and bring communities together through it. And so I think that was the impetus for it. And so we started exploring, area organizations that we might like to support and partner with. And we found you. And, I saw your story, Lisa, on the website, and it was just compelling. And that I think just urged us to want to help and partner with you. So we plan in the future to, partner with other organizations as well, but you're our first. So thanks for, again, being open to the cold call
Yes,
and,
yes.
and for working with us. And yeah, in the future, I think we'd like to just continue what we're doing and hopefully be benefiting, more organizations. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it really was a cold call. And one thing I'll say about that is we had a conversation or two, and then we just decided, let's do it. We've never done anything like this before, and we've certainly never done it on the very short time frame that we've been working in. But we felt the intention was so sincere and so special to us that we said, why not? Let's take this opportunity to come together to do something unique and different and special just at the holiday. So we are pulling it together and moving forward with it. And we know that our audience who chooses to tune into the concert that the Week project will host for us later this month, we know that you'll enjoy it. So we'll talk a bit more about that. Carl or Leanne, did you want to add anything as we go into our next question about tell us how you decided to support the foundation, or Mary answered that a bit, but what was it about our story, our mission, or our vision exactly that resonated with you? We're just curious to know.
Want to go again, or want me to jump in here? I'll jump in.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, we learned of your organization through Mary, basically.
Yeah.
And I think, we sort of, relish the idea of connecting with people that maybe we hadn't, wouldn't have a chance to connect with.
Yeah.
And I think from my own standpoint, you had asked that originally, part of your original question was what is driving us through this time, and what gets us through, and what's our joy in our day, and how can we sustain that through this incredibly difficult time. And for myself, it became it was kind of a physical thing too for me, because I ended up actually getting COVID back in April, and was pretty mild. It wasn't bad at all. I felt pretty, okay for a couple of weeks, but then I ended up having some some really kind of major long haul sort of things, and still am dealing with some peripheral nerve stuff. And I just thought to myself, man, I just take my career and my life as a cellist for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
We just go out and on stage and we play, and we have a week's work, and then we have a week off, and then we have another week's work. And we, just kind of go through the grind, and we love doing it, obviously. But when it comes to a stop like that, and it hit me so hard that there are so many people that are in such incredibly dire situations,
Yes.
and that aren't even sick, but we're all living this together. And I think it's shown me the need to come together as a society and a community like ours, and to be aware of what's going on around us, and try to address issues, try to help in whatever way we can. And I think that's something that, with Mary's idea and sort of initiative on this whole project, was just to jump in and do it, and make the connection, and hopefully people will see that and be inspired to do the same thing.
Oh my goodness, you're so right. We're all in this, right? I think you've spoken to a lot. And first and foremost, Carl, we're so happy that you're well, that you're okay. As an organization and as a community, COVID has affected so many people. We know we talk a lot about the impact of COVID as we see the disproportionate impact on the African American community throughout the state, but really on everybody's lives. It's been a risk to all of our, life or death issue for all of us as we face this. We've had people in our community, in our network, who have thankfully recovered from COVID. We have others who have not made it, right? So that gratitude of being truly grateful and appreciating our lives, our families, our work, our livelihoods. That's a wake-up call, right? That may we never take for granted the breath that we breathe every day, and the sun that we wake up to, and the snow and the frigid temperatures. Take all of it, right? Just take it all in with gratitude after this year. So we're grateful that you're here. And we're also grateful for the lessons that we're learning together as a community about what's really important, and how we come together and build one community together. Leanne, did you have anything to add to that?
I think I I agree with everything that Carl was saying. I think two things that make it, working with your organization resonate, especially right now, is one is just the timing, that with all of the turmoil and the Black Lives Matter and um, the real, um, I mean, my experience of what's happening this year is that the problems have existed, the unfairness and inequality has existed, but it's as if there's a light being shone on it, and then the differences are expanding and being made worse by the nature of the situation and the disproportionate effect of COVID on African American community. And just, it's really wonderful to feel not just angry and upset by those things, but able to try to help. And it's small and it's not total, but it feels good to have that intention, and maybe to make some donations happen, to make something good come of this. Um, and I think the other thing, just long term for me, has always been that I, at various statistical reports on education and child well-being in Madison, that has also, it's been very highly ranked for a white child to be raised in Madison, and low ranked for an African American child. And and I love to love Madison. I am a transplant. I love this city, but I don't hear enough discussion of that, and I don't hear enough urgency and continual concern about such a long standing and prominent problem in our community. And it's, anytime that you're talking about the welfare of children, if you're talking about the welfare of women, it's very much linked. And I think on both fronts that both of those things resonate really strongly for me and make me especially committed to this project.
Yes, and that's so important to hear, Leanne, as we also appreciate just how the illumination of these longstanding issues, as you've said, it's more people are aware, more folks are paying attention, and if there was like the ability to not see or not hear, that has been stripped away. So if you're not hearing, seeing, or digging deeper now, it's because you're choosing not to, right, as a community. And more folks are coming into this knowledge for the first time or in a deeper way. And that can only be a good thing in our community as awareness is built. And as you build awareness, you develop personal interest in being a part of the solution and then personal accountability. And we are really seeing that happen with our broader community, our institutions, our decision makers. And we hope that it's sustained beyond this very intense period, that it becomes how we move forward together. So with that, I'm going to turn the next question over to Aaliyah.
I'm very excited about this question. I'm excited to talk about the music that you guys are going to be performing. Really excited about the intentionality around centering Black women composers. It certainly has been a history lesson to me to dig into this. I have to say, when I think of chamber music, I center white men and it pop into my head immediately. So to learn about the really exciting history, in particular of Florence Price, was really eye-opening to me, and seeing some of the contemporary or work of like Jessie Montgomery. So you're performing songs again by Florence Price, Dorothy Rudmore, Jessie Montgomery. Can you tell us about these amazing composers and the songs that you have chosen, and just why you chose them? We can start with anybody. Feel free.
I'll talk about it a little bit, and I'll start. So, yeah, I think from my perspective, I think all of us did a lot of listening just to see, what kind of resonates with us. And then from my perspective, I thought, it would be really nice to have a variety. So Florence Price, was an earlier composer who's no longer living. And Dorothy Redmore is sort of in the middle. She was born in 1940. And then we have Jessie Montgomery, who is, I think, 40 years old, born in 1981. The styles are a little bit different. And you can hear in Florence Price's style, it's more traditional, it's a little more tonal. And then, in the middle, Dorothy Redmore is a little more adventurous, and then Jessie Montgomery is even more so. So very different styles. And also, I think the music really, is, strikes my heart and soul as well. So, but I'll in a little bit different ways. So.
Go ahead, Leanne.
I was just going to say that one thing, when you talked about the, white male composers popping into your head, I had this moment. I mean, I hope it's okay to share this personal reaction. We finished recording the music, and as I was leaving the building, I was thinking, I love that program. I just love the music. I love the way it fits together. I mean, when you're picking a program, sometimes it's hard for me, at least, to put into words why you think these pieces will go well together. But it is, when you're choosing, you're wanting a variety, but not a random feel. And so I'm walking out of the building thinking, gosh, I love each one of those pieces. I love the way it fits together. They're so fun to play. And it was sort of a feeling of, kind of exhilaration or joy. Like, we finished the recording. I love the music. And then I had this like real just dive emotionally, because I just thought, wow, I wasn't thinking at all that program was written entirely by Black women.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't in my head at all. I was just thinking, I love that program. And then it was just like this crushing feeling of like, how many centuries and thousands and millions of women and Black women, how much lost opportunity for all these centuries that it was remarkable to me, just that moment of like, wow, such achievement, and it's so rarely heard. And just, I mean, as a woman also thinking of Black women, but I was just like, wow. But I came back up because I do think that like awareness and opportunity, the world is changing, people are waking up, and it's not going to be unheard of or rare. There can be a concert of all women composers, a concert of all Black women composers. But it was a really weird sort of experience. But musically, part of the exhilaration thing was just what Mary was talking about, the variety in the program. The Florence Price, I think, is I read it in the notes by the editor who published the piece. He had this, I thought, really insightful phrase of saying that her piece took advantage of both the vocal and the instrumental characteristics of a string quartet. And the vocal quality, especially in the second movement, I'm playing first violin on that piece, and I feel like I'm just singing a song. It's just like a beautiful song, such long lines, such beautifully shaped phrases, and couldn't be more different from the Jessie Montgomery, which is like, Carl's over there rocking out. It's just like, it's great.
We love listening to musicians talk about music, especially the very particular work of string artists, violinists. You guys talk about it in terms that we've not heard of at all. And I hear my daughter using these terms with her teacher. Something that you all said, I certainly definitely grew up with this notion of white men or just white musicians playing orchestra music. But as time went by, right, and going to a historically Black college in Virginia, where you then were exposed to musicians from all over the country who were playing all types of instruments, and then being fortunate enough to live in a school district that has music programs for young people, and to see my daughter and other young Black girls and Black boys and Latino kids and all kids playing together in their schools, bands and orchestras, and being exposed to violins. It was a Black woman violin teacher here, Alita Lacrosse, who's a member of our network, who introduced my daughter and several other children to violin and chamber music. And my daughter has gone on to play throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, and now hopefully she'll carry it on to college. So it is changing, right? But growing up, I would have to say, I don't think I ever heard of Florence Price or Dorothy Rudmore. I had recently seen works from Jessie Montgomery, who has such a unique style of playing the violin. One of the pieces that you all are featuring, I don't know if it's the Voodoo Dolls, is so riveting to listen to. She's just a very unique composer. And it's exposing me, right? And deepening my appreciation, not only of what women like Florence Price must have gone through, being born in 1887, dying in 1953, and being an accomplished musician in those ages and in that time when we know that segregation and Jim Crow and social policy were so restrictive to become a musician. These are stories we need to know and to understand, not only as Black women artists, but as artists who have advanced, the field of music. So I dropped in the chat for all of you a few chats back, the link to go to the Wisconsin Ensemble Project website to read the biographies of these women, and then to do further Google searches on your own and to listen to their music. So to just let you know, Mary, Carl, and Leanne, you've exposed us to some of the talent within our own community that maybe some of us had not known before. And for that, we're super grateful. There's an audience question. Aaliyah, do you want to pose the Facebook question? A few questions back at 9:35 a.m.
I don't see a Facebook question, but I was asking the audience a question at that time.
Okay, well, here it is. Chamber music. Oh, yes, that's your question. So ask it out loud. I thought it was a Facebook question.
Audience, chamber music is, again, as we're having these conversations, it's new to some of us and not to others. And so I'm just wondering who is familiar with and actively listens to chamber music. I'm really interested if we're going to be introducing folks to new music and new history of the music that's making us even more interested in digging in. So yeah, kind of just looking at that, Mary Wells has done her research and is super impressed with Florence Price as well. She mentions that she gave her first performance when she was just 4 years old and wrote her first composition at 11. That's insanity. That's pure genius. And so just how important it is for us to know who this is. So I think it's just new for a lot of us. And so this is a really incredible opportunity.
Yeah, so raise your hand if you promise to go to the link that we dropped to read these women's bios. We just need to know that you're going to take that step, because we think you're going to be amazed when you go to YouTube and you listen to Jessie Montgomery's performances, especially. She's an active artist right now who's quite popular nationally. And we did reach out to Dorothy Rudmore and to Jessie to ask if they could be on today's show, but they were already booked with holiday commitments. But we will keep trying to bring them back in the new year. But the beautiful thing is you're going to get the opportunity to hear their work performed by Mary, Carl, Leanne, and their other partner later this month. We'll get to those details as they record and provide this virtual concert on behalf of the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness just after Christmas and into the new year. And we can't wait to hear what you all did with those pieces as that concert becomes available. This concert embodies the spirit of the season through the joy, love, and giving. Tell us what songs or artists are giving you hope this year and this season. And a special part of the question that I think you wrote, Aaliyah, what music transports you to your childhood? So beyond this concert, what are you listening to, Carl, and what music inspires your joy this season?
Oh, that's a big question. This time of year for me, I listen to a lot of Bach. Bach for me speaks Christmas. It's just I love listening to cantatas. I love playing cantatas as a cellist, as a continual player, and I know Leanne and Mary both have done quite a bit of that too. We do it every year with the chamber orchestra. Unfortunately, we're not doing that this year. No Messiah this year for us, but that's always a big plus for me, and also for me a real love for me this time of year. And these Leanne and Mary are probably going to laugh at this, but I love playing Nutcracker. I absolutely love playing Nutcracker. I've been doing it for 30 years at least, and probably played it a couple hundred times, I would imagine, for sure. And it's just this time of year, it brings out a lot of joy and a lot of, just seeing the kids in the audience and the families coming, and there's a real draw for that, and it's something that I love doing. But Bach for me this time of year is my go-to composer for sure.
Yes, I'm not well versed in naming the pieces, but my kids tease me because in my car I turn on the classical music station. It really is beautiful music, and a way to also just help you float away into another type of space and time. And I think is underappreciated broadly as a musical genre, as we're exposed, to all types of music. I would encourage folks who are looking to just add something special in your music repertoire into your wellness cultivation, and in terms of peace and meditative stance and stress reduction and all those things. I just find that classical music has its place and its role in really adding to your life and your wellness on many, many, many levels. And Bach is beautiful. I've listened to him quite a bit My daughter can name the artists more readily than I can, but we hope that you guys are getting exposed to this and that you're going to try this out if you're not a classical music fan. I do think you guys really are the artists who are featured at the concerts on the square, correct? Is that part? Yes. So I have heard you play then. I have heard you play. I'm sure I have. How many folks by hand who are on camera have gone to concerts on the square? Yes, and that is always a favorite opportunity and activity in Madison. We missed it dearly. We know that the Madison Symphony Orchestra and the Chamber have been heavily impacted. Tell us a little bit about that. And as we're talking about this concert and you all supporting us, help us better understand how we can support the orchestra and the chamber. Mary.
Oh, hey. Great question. Well, the orchestra, the symphony is on hold for the season. So they've canceled, everything. I know that they, they're a nonprofit. They always accept contributions, but they won't be holding any concerts this season. The Chamber Orchestra is starting up a chamber music series in January. And I think there are 4 of those altogether. I think it's January, February, April and May. I don't know if that's right, but it would say on their website. And so you'll see some of us, and those will be pre-recorded and broadcast on the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra website. And so that's exciting that they've gotten that together, sort of to replace what would normally be their Masterworks series.
Yep.
And then other than that, we don't really know what's coming. I think the world doesn't really know what's coming yet. So we don't know about concerts on the square in the summer. But there will be the few chamber music concerts coming up. So
There's actually a Madison Symphony Chorus Christmas concert that's being broadcast too. And I think Mount Zion is part of that too, correct?
I think
Somebody's
so. Is
on
that true, Miss Daphne? I see Miss Daphne who is nodding her head. Yes, that Mount
Yeah.
Zion is a part of that. Awesome. Do you know the date to that, Carl, to share?
That I don't. That would be on the MSO website for sure.
All right, let's find the MSO website. Let's drop that in. That's one way to experience more joy. It's funny that you said Nutcracker. That's one of my favorite artistic creations. And I've seen it, the video, the movie production piece. I've never seen it performed on a stage, or maybe I did when I was very, very young. I don't remember. Maybe it was on a trip to New York. But I enjoy watching other productions of that each season. Very enjoyable. So it'd be wonderful to tune in to whatever the Madison Symphony Orchestra will be hosting around the holidays as we all seek the cheer and the holiday spirit that we're working to cultivate right now. Aaliyah, let us hear what's going on in the chat. I see a lot of activity. A lot of folks are naming what music they're listening to. I see Mahalia Jackson and Aretha Franklin, which are among my top picks, but what else are folks saying?
Yes, well, we have some local experts we can lean into. Miss Mona is clearly the go-to for chamber music recommendations. And also we're having conversations in here. I'd love to get my daughter started playing the piano. So also some suggestions, and not just playing it, but enjoying it. I hear a lot of times like mom and dad, like play the instrument, and like we want some actual enjoyment. So having those conversations. Also seeing Christmas songs, bringing people joy. Mary J. Blige, always a go-to for that. Miss Mona suggested the Harlem Quartet. And then Kalia brought up something that I just was checking out on Netflix just yesterday. But there's the dance streams, Debbie Allen's dance streams, Hot Chocolate Nutcracker, which is lovely as we're talking about the Nutcracker, and just also talking about just how incredibly gifted artists are, whether with their bodies and dancing or whether they're with their instruments and playing, and how much joy it gives us. So that's another opportunity as well.
Awesome. I love the variety of musical choices. I love reading that folks say that they are going to go learn more about this and maybe add it to their repertoire. Therese says, I'm eager to learn more. So we're exposing folks both ways to the work of the foundation and to chamber music. This is a wonderful sharing and exchange, and it will lead to beautiful, beautiful things. So let's talk about the concert specifically that's coming up as we come up upon our last 10 minutes. So this concert will be held later this month. Mary, can you talk us through the plan for the concert? And we can certainly go over the logistics of it, but help our audience understand how they can tune in. What are the dates going to be? What is the production going to be like? What can they expect if they choose to be a part?
Sure, yeah. So it's pre-recorded. We recorded last week and being sort of edited and put together right now. And it will be aired the last holiday weekend of December and the first weekend of January. So we'll have a link available on our site, and you can just click on the link. And it will be available from 6 p.m. on the 25th through 6 p.m. on the 25th, 26th, 27th, and then the first weekend in January as well. And then we hope that when you enjoy the program, you will also contribute. There will be an opportunity to contribute there as well. And also part of the program will have some clips from the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness interspersed between the pieces. So.
Yes. Yes. So basically, you all, we're asking you and inviting you to the We Project's virtual online pre-recorded concert that they are hosting as a benefit to the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness. As Mary shared, the recorded concert will be made available on their website, which we've dropped in the chat, the link to that a couple of times. It's a donation-based recorded concert, which you can make whatever donation feels right to you, and know that those proceeds will help cover some production costs for the artists. And then the excess will go to the foundation to support our year-round programming in support of advancing and elevating Black women's health here in Dane County. So this is an open invitation for you to click on that link, learn more about this very unique effort to support our mutual work, and to share it with your friends. So we'd love when this call is over, if you would commit to cutting and pasting that link on your page, sharing it out to all your networks. After today, we'll share it very widely, and to help that folks tune in and to hear some great music by some wonderful Black women artists performed by our own talented local chamber and orchestra artists who are on this call with us today. What did you all learn or discover as you were recording the music? You've shared a few thoughts about just the uniqueness of the music, but what was that experience like to record a concert and to not be doing it live in front of an audience, but doing it in this new format? What are you hoping people will gain from it? And just what was that experience like for you?
Oh, just briefly, as a musician, for me personally, recording is actually more difficult than playing for a live audience for a couple of reasons. One, you sort of know that when it's rolling, and there's sort of always the question in the back of your mind, well, if I make a mistake, am I going to do that over again? Whereas if there's a live audience, it's just what it is, it is. And also, there's the interaction that you have with the audience, the intimacy that brings, that I think as a musician is a really important piece of the puzzle. But, the way that I go into recording is I'm with my colleagues, and it's a chance to play music together. And that's what brings the joy and the music to it. So.
Awesome. What was it like for you, Leanne?
I think I have some of that same divide. Like I really, I was taught to see performing for an audience as a gift. So it helps them be less nervous because you're not showing that you're a great player. The music only exists on the page unless someone's willing to play it and make it into music that you express and give to an audience. So then the recording feels like, oh, well, you give it to this machine, which can pick up all the mistakes. But And in this version of recording too, the COVID version of recording is a little funny because it's not live concert with that energy, but it's also not a recording session where you book several hours and do a lot of takes and really have a plan and maybe a producer or an engineer helping you to hear what the priorities are. Yeah, this was really collaboration. And I honestly, I think what I learned is I love playing with these guys because it is collaborative. One of the things that's really unique about chamber music in there, you know, compared to almost any activity, there is no leadership. It is truly collaboration. It's really precise work. It has to be done as well as possible. And it's for people with equal voices, you know, trying to be fair to everyone, honest about where you've made a mistake, asking for where you need something to be different. And so, yeah, it was a good project. And also, I mean, talk about exposure to new things. I had also never played music by, I had heard Jessie Montgomery, but I was unaware of Florence Price or Dorothy Red Moore. So I also learned a lot.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
What
for me
about?
too. I think the learning these new composers. I mean, I had heard of Florence Price a little bit just from some of the songs, the soprano songs, and I played a piece of hers, a piece that was based on folk song, 5 folk songs. That was a beautiful piece actually. So I had a little bit of exposure to that, but I'd never heard of Dorothy Rudd Moore. Jessie Montgomery I heard a little bit about just because she's really contemporary and her music's very popular. It's popular for us to play too. It's really, really a lot of fun. But you know, the one thing I think I took away from just recording, on top of what both Leanne and Mary said about the difference between recording, strictly recording, and playing for an audience, it's very weird to be doing a recording knowing that somebody's going to actually see what you're doing, you know, at some point visually. You know, it's just like this sort of this fence you're on. I've done a fair amount of recording for like commercial recording where it's just the sound. That's all that's there. And you know that there's, you know, 10, 15, 20 takes if you want to do it and you get it done till it's right. But this was very interesting for me. It's a kind of a first time thing just to get into that medium of recording, but knowing that it at some point it's going to be basically a kind of a concert in a way where you're seeing what you're hearing as well. So, but I think the biggest takeaway for me was when I finished, and this is kind of what Leanne was experiencing too, when we finished recording, I was driving home and I thought to myself, you know, how accessible this music is for us as quartet members. It's not that it's easy, but it's just so well written, you know, especially the more. There was some really, really interesting compositional things in the more, and the mores are the very short little pieces too, but there's so much in them. And like I said, Jessie Montgomery is just incredibly fun to play, and she knows how to write for the string instruments. There's some technical things in there that, you know, are pretty tough, but totally doable. So that was really, you know, a relief. Sometimes we end up playing music that's, you know, written by people that maybe don't really have a sense of what's possible on our instrument, and that becomes a real frustration. You have to kind of create your own way of getting through, you know, the quagmire of what they're trying to get you to do. So that was really fun for me, just to think about those pieces that we recorded and what you'll all hear, and just how beautiful the price is. The price is gorgeous. I mean, all those pieces that I've done of hers now are really, really kind of stick in my mind as being very lyrical and just fun to listen to.
Yes, well, you all have brought us joy this morning through this very unique conversation. I don't think that we had envisioned that we'd be closing the year talking about chamber music, Black women artists in the world of classical music, or how we come together to really move forward as a community around collective causes like Black women's health. It's very joyful for us to know, because we often say this as we are speaking with community and sharing our message, that Black women's health is not a Black community issue alone. It's a community issue. And we won't solve the disparities and the challenges that we are facing persistently in our community if we don't come together as one community to look at the root causes and to create solutions. And look at this very unique and beautiful contribution towards solutions that we've come up with together today, with music at the center, right? With music at the center, with artists who are honoring all artists, other artists, the diversity of all of that and what all of us are representing on this call and in our work, and all the possibility of what we can create together if we just choose to do it. And we've chosen something very beautiful today. And we thank you all for being with us today to talk about this and to create this wonderful, very unique opportunity. I'm excited about it. I'm hoping that everyone in this call is committed to tuning in to this concert that will be hosted later this month. So just let me recap, because I noticed that we had a few folks join us a little later. Hey, Dr. Earlise Ward, it's so awesome to see your face on here this morning. And Aaron Jenkins, our wonderful intern, who I saw pop on the screen. We're gonna rely on you, Aaron, to share this message, this information with students at the UW on campus, in your dorm and all over. And we're hoping that everyone will take the time as you exit this call to copy this link and to invite folks to this wonderful virtual concert hosted by the We Ensemble Project, who are with us today. The concert will be donation-based. It will be in honor of the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness to support our efforts to elevate Black women's health in Dane County and across Wisconsin. The recorded concert will be available for 6 dates, starting Christmas Day. So Christmas Day evening, 6 p.m. If you follow the links that we've provided and donate, you will have access to watch this recorded concert featuring these wonderful Black women artists' work that we've talked about at 6 p.m. on Christmas evening, the evening of the 26th and 27th, and also on New Year's Day and the 2nd and the 3rd of January, all at 6 p.m. We will send that in an email follow-up to everyone on our listserv, which includes all of you. And we ask that you share this information widely and tune in. I'll be watching. All of our team will be tuned in and watching. And we hope, Mary, Carl, and Leanne, that this is not our last time coming together to do projects or to just learn and connect with each other, not only on the work, but on the music. And we're all going to be praying and meditating on circumstances shifting and things improving in our community, so we can meet you at the Chamber Orchestra and down at Concerts on the Square as soon as time permits. We honor your music, we honor your gifts, your contributions, your presence with us here today. With that, if anybody wants to add any final comments about how you're going to march forward with joy, how you're going to close this wonderful year out in spite of the challenges, to show gratitude for making it, right? We're here today. We've made it this far in a year where some have not. So any final comments, let us know in the chat. Let us know if you'll tune in later this month. And with that, we will say, know thyself, love thyself, heal thyself. Our wellness starts with us, and we have the power. Please enjoy your holidays. Please tune in on Christmas Day and the dates we've provided to this wonderful opportunity to be blessed by music. And please join us in 2021 for a new year of wonderful things that we'll do together. Yes, Kalia, reflecting on at least one thing that brought joy each year. We want you to take that question with you. Take that question with you, journal on it, meditate on it, but do close this year out with incredible gratitude and joy. We're grateful for you. Happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you at the recorded concert on Christmas evening. Thank you, We Ensemble. Have a good day, everybody. Happy holidays.